The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. A leper came to him and kneeling down begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched the leper, and said to him, "I do will it. Be made clean." The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then, warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. Then he said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad, so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'll be spending more time with the Gospel, but I do also want to just say a word about the first reading, because those books of the Bible, 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings, that describe the emergence of the kings, starting with King Saul and then King David and so on up to the last of the Jewish kings, all were written from a particular point of view, and the point of view that they had was, if you follow God's law, if you do what you're commanded to do, then you will win. If you're unfaithful, break the covenant, then you're going to lose. And so they had this sense that this disaster that happens to them militarily is because they've been unfaithful to the law. And I find that and Jesus comes along later, centuries later, when the first example that comes to mind is when they go to Jesus and they say, because they have a blind man in their midst, did this man sin or was it his parents? In other words, this evil happened because somebody was bad. And Jesus says, neither, but I'm going to just use this situation for the glory of God. And in the helping professions that we are all in, we run into people who have this feeling that not only is life miserable, they're hungry, they're without food, they need psychiatric care, they, whatever their difficulties are, dealing with addictions and so on. But they feel it's because I'm bad. And I even find people who are, church-going folk who have been very faithful all their life, made sure they sent their kids to Catholic schools, etc., etc. But they have cancer or some other difficulty, and they say it's because I was bad at this time in my life. And that's not the God that I believe in. I wouldn't be doing this if that was the way I thought God was. But a lot of the prosperity gospel preachers kind of preach that. You do right and you're going to be rich. That's what they really believe, and it's very false. Some of the best people I ever knew were among the poorest, and some of the wealthiest people I ever knew were among the most wretched. Not that, there's exceptions to that and so on, but it's just that, I think that as you're doing your various ministries, it's important to kind of have your eye out in case somebody has that feeling that this is happening to me because I'm bad. Because I know a lot of good people for whom bad things are happening right now, and we need to kind of minister to that stream in their spirit. So it's just kind of occurred to me as I was reflecting on this reading. But then the gospel reading is kind of a neat reading because this man comes up to Jesus. Well, it says a leper. It doesn't really say man or woman, so it could have been either. And he says to Jesus, if you can make me clean. And Jesus, moved with compassion, which was what his heart was like, says, well, of course, and makes him clean. And then, of course, he says, don't tell anybody. Now, I don't know whether, I'm sure it never happens here at Catholic Charities, but if you ever give out a little bit of money, or if you ever give out blankets, or you ever give out coats, or you ever give out anything, the word travels very quickly. And you kind of say, wow, a lot, even among people that don't have cell phones and all that stuff. The word, you know, this is where you can go to get some assistance, and the word really travels, and it's amazing. So this, it says in here, it says, he said, see that you tell no one anything, but go show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. So the man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. It's like Jesus said, wow, wait a minute, you know, I'm being deluged with requests and so on. So, you know, when you try to love and do good, the word's going to travel. And that's why it's a good thing that we're here. It's a good thing we're doing what's happening here in the city of Flint, that the good word will spread out. We have a man who's quite seriously mentally ill who would kind of come around the church, and he might ask for a little assistance here and there. Once in a while we helped him, but one Sunday he came in. I usually get to church, Mass is 9:45, and I was there at like 7:30 just kind of reflecting, getting ready and stuff. And he came in and was kind of wanting, you know, probably monetary stuff. And I said, well, you know, so-and-so, I said, there's a limit to how much we can sort of give in those ways, but I said what we have is really a lot more than that. We have Jesus, and you know, I feel kind of bad that you come here for this, or sometimes you appear at Coffee and Donuts, but that Jesus part does not interest you at all, and that's kind of too bad, you know, because I think Jesus would be helpful to you feeling your life kind of coming together a little bit. So he began to come maybe an hour before Mass, and he would sit and he would be alone, and he would sit here, and then he'd go over there, and then he'd sit here and there. And it was very difficult for him to stay in one place for more than literally a minute or two, and then he would go to another. Well, then later, as he would come more towards the time that Mass was going to start, and he would sit in one pew, and maybe there'd be a few people gathering, and then he'd move over here, and there a few more people are gathering, but he would always be gone. But the last two Sundays, he's stayed. And the first Sunday, he kind of was off by himself, and I think pretty fearful. But then the next Sunday, when we prayed the Lord's Prayer and joined hands together, he came and joined hands with the other folks there. And I had the person who, he can be kind of I suppose, a scary figure, because he's kind of muttering whatever he's muttering under his breath, and he's a pretty good-sized fellow. And he came up and took the hand of a very tiny elderly woman, and she just turned and smiled at him and took his hand. And that's probably the first experience like that he's had, and maybe ever. But, you know, it was just like, here's this person saying, okay, I'll hold your hand. And so we underestimate. The word travels, or it travels even within our own spirit, that he's now beginning to say, wow, this human contact is a good thing, and maybe there is in religion here just something powerful and grateful. And so just know that the word, you may not ever know where the word travels about what you see or what you do, but it is going to travel, and it's going to be good, and it will hopefully in the long run lead people to Jesus. And I just have to say one more word. I have to talk about the Palmers for a minute. No, when I was a deacon at Holy Redeemer, I was a deacon at Holy Redeemer in 1970, and that was the year your mother died. And I remember you had just been to Germany, and then you came back, and then she died, but you weren't able to go back for the funeral and those things. But I just remember your family, and you may not know that whatever you did just by loving each other and loving your children and trying to do right by them ministered to me, taught me a lot about what the parish is made up of. It's people like you, so it's good to see you today. That's great.
Thank you. But you know, she didn't die. She had a heart attack. I took there. And then I said, don't let me go back. And I took care of her.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
For the funeral. It was 1.5 years nearly. Couldn't believe it. You know.
But I just want you to...
It's a gift from heaven when you get the chance to take care of somebody you love much. So many thousand miles away. Thank you for this letter, because you meant a lot to all of us in Holy Redeemer.
You just gave the sermon when you said what a blessing it is to be able to take care of someone that you love very
It
much,
is.
and that's kind of what all of us here are trying to
I know.
do, so thank you very much. Okay.